How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? Data here, and welcome back to the Pittsburgh Penguins franchise mode, episode number 10, double digits, headed into year number 3, the 2025-26 regular season. In the last one, we had a huge offseason where we acquired the new, quote, potential face of the franchise in Leon Draisaitl. Let's break it all down quickly. If you missed the 2025 offseason, let me give you a quick recap. If you didn't miss it, may as well watch it through just to get you reacclimatized. It's been about a week or so since our last episode, but over 2 weeks since I've last recorded. Just got back from vacation. I appreciate everyone's patience with a bit of the lack of uploads, but now we're getting right back into it. It was the longest time that I hadn't recorded in close to 4 years, so I'm really happy to be back at it, and we're going to be going Penguins franchise mode, career simulations, back to our MLB The Show franchise, and all that stuff, so we are back in it. So, just to recap what we did last off season, Leon Draisaitl, coming off of a Stanley Cup, having beaten us in 6 games with the Oilers in the Stanley Cup final, he goes, well, not goes to unrestricted free agency, but he is poised to be an unrestricted free agent. The Oilers do not have the salary cap to re-sign him. He just won the Cup. He's a 96 overall. He wants to get paid. We trade for his rights and sign him to a 7-year deal, paying him $11.25 million. We tell him, listen, buddy, we're a good enough team that we almost beat you to win the Cup. Come and join us, and you can be not only a huge piece in a championship run, but you'll also be our face of the franchise once Crosby, Malkin, Letang, etc. retire. So Draisaitl will be our first-line center this next season with Guentzel and DeBrincat. DeBrincat is going to be playing his second season with us. He scored 71 points in his first season last year as a Penguin. On the second line, we'll have Malkin, who's down to an 84, Crosby, who's down to an 86, and Taylor Hall. We'll keep him there for a moment. I'm going to explain some line combos in a moment, but Taylor Hall, who we acquired from the Bruins, his UFA rights we acquired, that is, in the Ryan O'Reilly deal where we got Taylor Hall's rights and the 9th overall pick in the draft. We signed him to a 1-year deal, paying him $4.5 million in a prove-it-to-me kind of deal, middle 6 winger. I think he fits very well with us, and I like his fit for our team. Now the question is, does he play second line or does he play on the third line, as Berkeley Catton may move up to the top 6 and get the +5 on the second line. Berkeley Catton, a real-life prospect, very happy to have him in the organization. He was the 9th overall pick in 2024. We gave him another year in the juniors, and now he's an 82 overall at 19 years of age. Already the 5-star puck skills, 96 passing, medium league potential, so super excited to have him up here this season. Isaac Lundstrom, who we got off waivers from the Devils, he had a good season in the AHL. Now he's ready to make the jump to the NHL. And Brian Rust, who hasn't been great as a top 6 player for us the last couple of years, scored, I believe, 46 points last season, so we'll have him in a third line role this year. He still has 3 more years on his contract, but a full no trade clause, so we'll see if he is willing to waive that someday or if he's just happy being on the third line. Regardless, fourth line is the same as last season. This was a solid line. Cole Koepke, Nate Smith, and Pierre Engvall. We're going to be running it back with them. Defensively, Josh Morrissey and Chris Letang is still our top pair. A new face on the blue line, though, as we acquired Aaron Ekblad through free agency. We signed him to a 5-year deal, paying him $8 million per season, so that'll relieve some of the stress on our top 2 guys, and also provide some support to Nikita Zadorov, who did not do super well in the postseason. On the third pair, we'll have Ty Smith, who's been doing well for us in his role. And Lucas Cormier, who we acquired from the Vegas Golden Knights. He spent the last couple seasons in the AHL with us, doing very well, but not really growing in overall. He has medium top 4D potential. If he's ever going to make it, I think now is the time. So it may be a bit of a stretch, but he has the +2 for chemistry, and I really want him to make this team. And, if he doesn't, he doesn't, but at least we gave it our best shot. Between the pipes, we have the reigning Vezina and Jennings Trophy winner in Mackenzie Blackwood, coming off of an incredible season in 2024-25. 41 wins on the year. He was incredible in the postseason against high-octane offenses, and he will be battling for starts with Joel Blomqvist, who has also grown to an 84 overall. He has low elite potential, 23 years of age, final year of his contract, and going to be in his sophomore season after having a solid rookie year where he appeared in 25 games. Scratches at the moment, we see Cole Fonstad as well as Jason Zucker, who's an 82 overall. final year of his contract, making $3 million. So we'll see what happens there. We'll break it down a bit more in the comments. And finally, in the AHL, if you're curious, of course, we have Braden Yeager, who was drafted 20th overall by us in 2023, also drafted by the Real World Penguins. So good to know that Kyle Dubas is watching the franchise mode. We also have Callan Lind, who we want to see a lot of growth from. He scored like 60 or 70 goals in the WHL last season. And of course, Owen Pickering. So there's a quick update on where we are after the 2025 offseason. Now headed into 2025-26, and coming off of a Stanley Cup final exit, we not only want to get back there, but with the continued regression that is to come from Crosby, Malkin, etc., the thinking has to be that this may be our best and even last chance at a Stanley Cup with this core. But before we can get started, we got to hear from the assistant general managers. And I was getting a lot of messages this past week, a lot of comments on my breakdown of the real-world Erik Karlsson trade to the Pittsburgh Penguins. A lot of you saying, go out there, get Erik Karlsson, we got to do it. And I would love to do it, don't get me wrong. It's just unfortunate that in this universe, we took over before all of that happened. So, we have money dedicated to Draisaitl, to DeBrincat, to Ekblad, to Morrissey. And although we have $6 million, maybe $9 million if we move Zucker, we wouldn't be able to take on the $11.5 million of Erik Karlsson, and salary cap retention in this game is almost impossible. So it would be great, I hear you, but unfortunately it won't be able to happen at this point heading into year number 3. But that being said, let's dive into the comments from the assistant general managers. The very first thing I'm going to do, a couple comments here. George says, I think Catton should play with Crosby and Malkin. Aiden saying, you should definitely play Catton in the top 6 with Sid and Gino. A +5 on both top lines is insane. So aside from just the growth for Catton, the top 5, the top 6 both getting +5s, that's incredible. So with these boosts right now, you have Gensel 93, Draisaitl 101, DeBrincat 93, and then second line you have Malkin 89, Crosby 91, and Catton 87 as a 19-year-old, plus still maintaining the +2 for Hall, Lundstrom, and Rust. So that is probably pretty much the best case scenario for our top 9, and this is what we're going to be doing headed into the beginning of this third season. Moving on to other points of discussion, a big one in the comments was, what are we going to do with Jason Zucker? He is an 82 overall, 33 years of age. He's an expiring UFA. His numbers haven't been incredible, so he wouldn't have a ton of trade value moving out. He's been a 20, 30-point guy, not too shabby. In the postseason, 4 goals, 5 points, -6. Yeah, he didn't have the greatest postseason, but Zucker at this point in his career would likely be, I would think, content with playing in a 4th line, maybe in and out of the lineup type of role, chasing that Stanley Cup, knowing that he's going to get released into unrestricted free agency after this next season. Would he rather have top 9 minutes on a team that is not contending, or be bottom 6 / sometimes scratched on a team that is going for the Cup? So I do think it would make sense if we do keep Zucker, but the question is, do we keep him? So in Dan's comment, he says, first things first, hope vacay is going well. It went very well, thank you very much. Always good to have some time away to recharge the batteries. My positronic brain is back to fully charged. What an off season. It's not often that we get a shot at a franchise player, and we were able to do it at a very reasonable cost. Upgrading from Orlov to Ekblad is also a huge step up, and Catton developing into a 3rd liner at his age is just icing on the cake. Zucker is an interesting scenario because when we take a step back, he's an aging vet, and it makes sense that he will begin his hunt for a cup soon. Combine that with a few lackluster seasons, could it make sense that he sticks it out on the 4th line for a year? I could see it. If there aren't any other pressing needs, we may as well keep him if money isn't too tight. We currently have over $6 million in cap space. It would have to depend on the return in trade negotiations. Either way, this team is ready for a strong season. Good luck. Can't wait to see how far we go. Thank you very much, Dan. Kyle will be open to moving Zucker. As Kyle says, hope you're having a good vacay. Thank you very much. I'd say you trade Zucker for a pick or prospect and then sign Blake Wheeler, who we had last season. He's still currently a free agent. And then use Blake Wheeler on the 4th line, and you can swap him, Kepke, Engvall, all those guys around during the season and play the best during the playoffs. Realism-wise, you wouldn't want Wheeler playing a full season with his age. That makes sense. Plus, no one wants Blake Wheeler. Here we are in September, and he's a 39-year-old who's still unsigned in free agency. There are even other good options. David Perron, TJ Oshie, Jordan Eberle, but especially Blake Wheeler is interesting because he just played with us this past season. We acquired him at the deadline. He scored 21 points in 20 games. He was incredible, including 12 goals. In the postseason, he wasn't too bad. 13 points in 24 games. So Blake Wheeler, we have the money for him, and yes, he's listed as a second liner, but let's think about it realistically. He's 39, he has bottom six potential, and he's unsigned in September. If we signed him to play him as a rotation guy on the fourth line, I think he'd be a-okay with that, especially considering, again, that we are a cup contending team. And another thing that we've been thinking about is if we were to move Jason Zucker, we don't need to just dump him for a pick or a prospect because whatever, we just don't need him. The thing is, we could use him in a trade where we get a better third pair D. I was originally thinking Owen Pickering on the third pair, but you know what? Let's not rush him. We'll give him another year in the AHL. Meanwhile, we are just one injury away, let's say Zadorov or Ekblad or anyone in the top four, from Ty Smith having to move up, which is okay. We could deal with that. But then we're only another injury away from having to play a 76 overall in the top four. So I prefer to have a little bit more insurance on defense. Now, we could go and sign a current free agent who's a 78, 79 overall, or we could use Jason Zucker in a trade that gets us someone who's more like an 80, 81 overall. So going to Pat's comment here in the Discord server, Pat says, tremendous offseason. I would place Catton on the second line with Crosby and Malkin, as we already put him there. Strap the rocket to his back. Don't worry about the 33-year-old expiring deal. That he can play on the third line while he ring chases. That's Jason Zucker. I think you have an obvious hole on defense. Here it is. The 76 prospects are at least a year away. I would trade for one of the plethora of available D-men on the block. Esa Lindell speaks to me. I looked into it. Unfortunately, Esa Lindell wouldn't work trade value-wise, but there are a few other names that would. I'll get that in a second. You have the cap space and are one injury away from playing two mid-70s D-men. Grab one middle pair guy and maybe a seventh D-man to eat popcorn in the press box. So I think that's exactly what I'd be looking at doing. Now, if we were to go out and make a deal like that, it would probably be like that Joel Edmondson kind of guy, that Oli Mata kind of guy. There's a few options I looked at for like 80, 81 around the NHL, and that would essentially cost us Jason Zucker. However, we don't need to trade Zucker if we don't want to. We could actually trade Cole Fonstad maybe, and then get Blake Wheeler to be another forward in our system, then go and sign a defenseman who we get him for free. And yes, his overall is a little bit lower, but again, we get him for free. So looking in free agency, the defensemen who are out here, Max Gildon, who's a current UFA. He has 91 shot blocking, 3.5-star defense, but still a 79 overall, 5-star physical. Good to see that. Also Hollowell, who's another 79. From there, there's a bunch of 78s. Carrick, Zaboral, Pullman, Osterley, Mikola, Hayek, a bunch of 78 overalls who are not too shabby. So I think I'm going to go ahead and, go crazy a bit on the signings. Let's get a defenseman. Let's get maybe even two defensemen. Let's get Blake Wheeler, and then let's throw them all into a blender in the preseason and see if anybody sticks out. And that is our luxury as a team with over $6 million in cap space and 4 contract spots at the moment. So yes, I will go ahead and offer a contract to Blake Wheeler. I'm going to give him a 1-year deal. He wants 3.225. 85% is 2.74. Let's go 2.85. 1 year at 2.85 for Blake Wheeler, who's going to continue to regress. He hasn't been offered anything. Let's go ahead and offer him a deal. I know Eberle, Oshie, and Perron are also interesting, but the storyline for Wheeler makes sense since we just had him. So there's the one forward. I'm going to send out a couple of contracts to defensemen now. I'm going to send one out to Gildon as the highest overall guy out there. Mac Hollowell is interesting, but as an offensive defenseman, it won't help the chemistry as much, I don't think, especially who knows who's out. We got to put him on the penalty kill, stuff like that. I'd rather have a two-way D or a defensive D. And the other contract that I send out will be to, let me do a little bit of quick research. Yeah, you know what? I think it will be Libor Hayek. Not just the name that sticks out to me the most, but also the one that makes the most sense in terms of the defensive attributes. 84 defensive awareness, 87 shot blocking, 86 stick checking. Pretty much the typical thing that you're seeing from most of these guys who are out here. Yeah, that's the type of numbers that we're getting. So Hayek at 3.5-star defense. I'll go ahead and send him a deal as well. Probably a league minimum type of thing. Yeah, there you go. So Hayek and Gillen will both get offered contracts. However, I will be giving my preference at the moment to Lucas Cormier, even though he's a lower overall, because I want him to be getting the ice time. Also, shout out to Devin Levi, who is an unrestricted free agent, a restricted free agent who's still available here. I would love to go and poach him for, like, look at this, 4 years at like 1.3 million. Buffalo's strapped for cash. We'd be able to get him for free, basically, but in the real world, we know that they would trade some random player and free up the extra few $100K that they need. I think they have 1.4 million in cap space. They just need a few $1,000s more, so I won't go ahead and poach him, but that is so tempting. And the last comment that we'll look at comes from Peaceful, who makes some recommendations for contract extensions headed into this season. Lundstrom 1 to 2 years, Blomqvist 1 year. Look at Malkin for another year, but maybe wait in case he drops. Think about Ekblad on the top pair with Morrissey. We'd swap him with Letang. That's a possibility. And keep in consideration that the best asset we could probably get for Jason Zucker would be a 3rd or 4th round pick. Great job on the videos, by the way. Thank you very much, my friend. Appreciate you leaving your suggestions. So if we look at all expiring right now, Malkin, Zucker, we're going to wait on those guys, but I would be willing to give Zadorov and Lundstrom deals right now. Zadorov was not very good in the postseason. He has had his struggles, but he's an 82 overall who for some reason wants 4.6 for 2 years and 4.7 for 4 years, but for 3 years is willing to accept 2.8 million. He's currently making 2.25, and of course in EA land, the defensemen just keep costing more and more as the years go on. 3 years, 85% would be 2.38, so I'm going to go ahead and offer him 3 years at 2.5 million. Even though he's had his struggles, that is too good of a price to pass up on. So if he wants it, he can take that, 3 years at 2.5. And for Isaac Lundstrom, he would be looking for something cheap. Yeah, 1 year, one way. Actually, he would take 2 years at like league minimum. So I'm going to go ahead and say 2 years, one way, but 950K. Let's do that on Lundstrom. I don't want to cheese it for 8 years or anything like that. I think 2 years makes sense. He's coming off of a season in the AHL. We got him off waivers. He wouldn't be demanding too much. So 2 years at 950K, a 1 year deal for him. Let's see how he pans out in our system as well. I think that brings him to unrestricted free agency, which is beneficial for him. Engvall, Fonstad, Kepke, I'm going to wait on them. Ty Smith, yeah, him too for 2 years. He wants a cheaper amount, so if he wants to do 2 years, I can do. I don't want to cheese him too much either because he's been very good. I would do 1.35, even though that's probably a bit more than we'd have to. He's currently making 1.2, so there's a little boost for Ty Smith if he wants it. And finally, Blomqvist, before he wants to too much either. We could do 2 years on him to keep him as an RFA. We could do 1 year at league minimum, which is beneficial, but if he continues to grow, he'll want more for another 1 year deal. So let's do 2 years. We have the money for it. 1.19 is 85%, so let's go 1.2 for 2 years on Blomqvist, and he'll stay as an RFA as well, so that's beneficial for us. All right, so there are the contract extensions. If they want them, they can take them. The scouts have been sent out. The lines are set. Let's go ahead and simulate to the first game of the preseason, where we'll get to experiment a little bit with Wheeler and everybody else. As Lundstrom, easy decision to resign. Zadorov, easy decision to resign. Gilden, Hayek, signing from unrestricted free agency. Ty Smith extends. Blomqvist extends. All right, great news. Blake Wheeler decides to reject the contract that we sent him because he has so many offers coming his way, right? Now he wants 1 year, 2.7. This guy's ridiculous. Now he wants 1 year, 2.7. You know what? Now I'll give you 1 year, 2.5. Oh, man, they make me laugh. These free agents really just got to make you laugh. Let's keep on simulating to the first game of the preseason. Let's see what Blake has to say about the reduced offer that we gave him. Oh, of course, now he's extremely happy to accept the offer. Beautiful. All right, first game of the preseason. I'm not going to show you the lineup every single game or the result every single game. I'm going to show you the stats at the end of the preseason. Just keep in mind that I'll be rotating Zucker, Wheeler, Gilden, Hayek all into the lineup, trying to see who impresses us the most, and then I'll show you the recap at the end of the preseason. All right, so here at the end of the preseason, we ended up going 4-2-1 through 7 games. I made a couple of small changes from things I didn't think I would. I put Evgeny Malkin on the first line. I swapped him with Jake Gensel. I also swapped Ekblad and Letang about halfway through the preseason. So, breaking it all down here, Malkin and Crosby both scored 11 points in 7 games. Letang and Draisaitl were both point per game. Gensel, 4 goals in 7 games. DeBrincat, only 2 goals, 3 points. Taylor Hall, 1 goal, 3 points. Nikita Zadorov was a plus +11. That was incredible. Catton had 3 assists and was a +7. Rust only 2 assists. Now here's where we start getting a bit more into the nitty-gritty. Blake Wheeler in 5 games scored 1 goal and was a +1. Let's actually just look at the forwards for a moment before we get into the defense. So Wheeler, 1 goal in 5 games. Lundstrom played in all 7 games. I wasn't too impressed by Lundstrom as third-line center. 1 goal and a -4 through 7 games, despite playing about close to 11.5 minutes of ice time per night. Pierre Engvall, 1 assist and a -1 in 3 games. Koepke, no points, even plus-minus in 2 games. Zucker, a -2 with no points in 4 games. Nate Smith, no points, -1 in all 7 games. So, Lundstrom, I don't think I'm going to move him just yet, but if I'm thinking about who's on my 4th line, I guess Wheeler looked okay, Engvall looked okay, and Smith, I suppose. Zucker and Koepke didn't exceptionally impress, but, they're still in the mix come the regular season. Let's look at the defense now. Defense, of course, the big guys that we already saw. Only 3 defensemen scoring any points in the preseason. Ty Smith in 5 games scored 1 goal and was a -2. Lucas Cormier in 4 games had no points and was a -2 as well. Libor Hayek in 2 games played was a +1 with no points. And Gilden, he's not here because he's in the AHL, but in 3 games, he was a -1. Also, not really comforting that Josh Morrissey had no points and was a -4 in the preseason, especially since he scored 29 points in 41 games with us last season and had close to 50 points on the year in total. So hopefully that will turn around. And goaltending, this is also was concerning. Mackenzie Blackwood, I gave him 5 starts, maybe it was 4 starts, and he came in relief in 1 game, but he was 3-2-0 with an .875 save percentage and 4.14 goals against average. Meanwhile, Blomqvist, who, yes, he faced 60 less shots, or 58 less shots, he was 1-1-1 with a shutout, 928 save percentage, and 1.70 goals against average. So I think Blackwood has to at least get like the season opener, but I think Blomqvist may get maybe 6 or 7 out of the first 10 games here after that preseason showing. So to start the season here, I think we are going to try Engvall, Smith, and Wheeler as the 4th line. On defense, I'm going to go Smith and Cormier, I suppose, but Libor Hayek is very close to being in there and slotting in. Meanwhile, Gilden will be, I guess, kind of like 8th defenseman down in the AHL for the moment. In terms of our forwards, Koepke and Zucker will both be 13th forward, and we'll go from there. Also, the season starter is Mackenzie Blackwood, but Blomqvist was very impressive. With all that figured out, we can say that one thing is for sure. We can go ahead and trade Cole Fonstad, a depth player who scored 7 points in 27 games for us last season. He wasn't bad at all, just that our current options don't really give him any breathing room, and I don't want to let him expire for nothing, or we keep him and trade him a few years down the road when his value is even less. He has medium top line potential. I'm sure there's a team that would give us some sort of decent, by decent I mean 5th or 6th round pick, as opposed to trying to scrape together a 7th. So let's see what St. Louis thinks here. St. Louis, would you give me a 5th round pick for Cole Fonstad? Not quite. Can we get a 6th round pick? Isn't sufficient at all. All right, so forget it. I guess we're going for the 7th. You want Fonstad. You want to move the 7th round pick. The value literally cannot get any lower. Okay, thank you very much. Trade accepted. We recoup a 7th. Maybe that becomes a low elite prospect or something. Okay, why not? So there you have it. Now we're ready to simulate to the beginning of the 2025-26 regular season, kicking it off against the New York Islanders on Long Island, one of our Metropolitan Division rivals. We're going on a little road trip to start the season. Draisaitl, Hall, Ekblad, all making their Penguins debuts in a season in which we are pushing to go all the way. It all starts here, ladies and gentlemen. Game 1 of year number 3 at UBS Arena. Penguins and Islanders. First period, 1-1 game. Letang opens up the scoring on Ilya Sorokin. Wahlstrom comes back just 3 minutes after that or so. Shots are 15-12 in our favor after 20. Second period, 3-2 Islanders. Wahlstrom gets his second, and that comes on the power play. Then Pajot even strength, but just about 30 seconds after that, Alex DeBrincat gets us back within 1. Power play for the Penguins to start the period, killed off by the Islanders. Shots about on power play once again for Pittsburgh, killed off once more. I forgot to show you the power play, by the way. I'll do that after this game. Both units are at +5, I think, and Sidney Crosby, the captain, ties up this game at 3. Shots are coming fast and furious from both sides as both teams are closing in on 40 shots apiece through 55 minutes. Final couple minutes in this one, 8 seconds left in regulation, we're headed to overtime. Shots 39-36 6 after 60. 3-on-3 overtime now. Here we are in the extra frame, and the Islanders win it. Noah Dobson in overtime. Shots ending 40-39 in our favor, but the Islanders come out on top with the OT winner. You know what? I probably should have jumped into that one. That would have been a good opportunity for us to open up the season. But maybe during our home opener, we'll get a chance to do so. Heading into Amalie Arena now. Okay, head coach can do that down in the AHL. I'll quickly show you the power play units. If you are curious, here is our first unit with a +5 and our second unit also with a +5 right there. I'm trying Berkeley Catton out there. Maybe it's a bit too much ice time for him. Maybe he's over his head. We can always adjust as time goes on. And if you're curious about the penalty kill units as well, here is unit number 1. Rust getting a little extra ice time. Unit number 2, maybe Lundstrom moves off, but it does have a +3. And then unit number 3 also with a +2. So not the highest overalls, but good chemistry boosts from our two-way forwards. Game number 2 on the season now. Let's keep on going until we get our first victory. We did a ton of slow simming last season. We were horrible during the calendar simulation, so hopefully we can get back to some calendar sim and not have to slow sim every single game. First period, 1-0 Penguins. Leon Draisaitl scores his first goal as a Pittsburgh Penguin coming in Tampa Bay. Second period, 4-0 Penguins. Lundstrom, DeBrincat, and Gensel. 3 goals in 1 minute and 10 seconds. The Penguins are up 4-0 after 40. 24-20 the shots in our favor. And this one ends 5-0 the final. Evgeny Malkin scoring on Kakkonen as Vasilevsky was pulled. Shots end 35-26 and the Penguins win 5-0. It is a 26 save shutout from Mackenzie Blackwood. A goal and 2 assists from the Cat. A goal and an assist from Leon Draisaitl. And that will be our first win of the season coming in shutout fashion from Mackenzie Blackwood. Very well done. I thought that Blomqvist would get a few starts here, but you know what? I don't want to keep stopping every 2 seconds. If Blackwood does well, then so be it. Blomqvist will start one of the games here against Dallas or Seattle. Super long road trip to start the season. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12-game road trip to start the season? What? Our home opener comes on November 23rd. That is incredible. Wow, some massive renovations going on at PPG Paints Arena. So I don't want to sim 12 games, but let's go to game number 10 against the Avalanche at least, and we'll see where we're looking at that point. 2-1 shootout loss in Minnesota against the Wild at MSG here against the Rangers, excuse me. We shut them out 3-0. There you go. There's a couple shutouts. 2 wins, 2 shutouts for Mackenzie Blackwood. Sidney Crosby, mild concussion, not out long, only till November 3rd, but always a little scary when you see that for Sid. Thankfully, it's not long, so I don't need to do any massive line overhauling. Lundstrom gets a +5 as a second-line centerman, so Lundstrom playing as an 86. Good for him. We'll go ahead and get Zucker into the lineup. He'll substitute in all lines, so he'll get some first unit power play time and all that good stuff. And we'll see if he runs with it. So there you go. Engvall, Zucker, and Wheeler on the 4th line. Strange is back in the AHL. We'll keep on simulating here. 3-1 win against the Stars and a 4-3 win against the Kraken. So I guess Blomqvist would have gotten one of those victories right there. 4-0-2 through our first 6 games. Against the Coyotes here now in Arizona, who are 3-3-1. Gensel, woo, injured foot. Again, short-term injury until November 9th. That's why we signed these guys. That's why we signed them. So Taylor Hall is going to move up to the second line. Wheeler will move up to the third. And then Koepke will move on to the 4th. All right, there you have it. Thankfully, again, just short-term injuries here. Crosby back and fully healed. Lovely. So that'll mean that we actually don't need Koepke. Zucker can replace Gensel. And then Crosby comes back into the lineup. So, all right, let's see what happened against the Coyotes. Will it ever show us? No, we'll have to pause, and then it'll show us, right? So I'll stop the simulation. And it was a 5-4 shootout loss against the Coyotes, then a 4-2 regulation loss, our first of the season against the Maple Leafs. We already have 3 overtime or shootout losses through the first 8 games of the season. So that'll be game 9. So game 10 actually comes against the Jets, who are 8-1-0 at the moment. My goodness. So Gensel fully healed. Great. Got to get back to full strength as soon as possible. And you know what? I'm liking Zucker's numbers, actually, especially in comparison to Engvall. -2 through 8 games, no points. I know we're not looking for a ton from Engvall, but Zucker in 3 games, even in 2 games, he already had a goal and an assist. Nothing in his 3rd game, but a goal and assist +1. Let's try Zucker, Smith, Wheeler as our 4th line with Gensel and Crosby now both back in the lineup. Exactly what we want to see. All right, against the Avalanche, we win 4-3. And now for game number 10 against the Jets, who are 9-1-0. We are 5-1-3 in Winnipeg, getting closer to our first home game of the season. First period, 2-0 Jets, Ehlers and Connor. Second period, all right, 2-2 game. Taylor Hall scores his first of the season, and Alex DeBrincat ties it up at 2. Shots are 19-10 for the Jets, but we're all tied up. Third period here, the Jets on the power play early in the third. We kill that off. They're doubling our shots, and Jordan Eberle, who they signed in free agency, makes it 3-2 Jets. Power play Penguins extended 5-on-3 with the +5s on the units, and Alex DeBrincat gets his second of the evening to tie this up at 3. The Cat pounces for his second. 2 minutes to go now, and Grzelcyk is going to put the Jets ahead. With a minute to go, and Milan Mihalik Jr. adds the empty netter as the Jets beat us 5-3, outshooting us 31-20. The Jets look to be a very, very good team. So we are 5-2-3 through our first 10 games. Let's get to our home opener against the LA Kings, and we'll evaluate how things are looking by then through the first 13 games. On the road to face the Flyers, who beat us in overtime. We have 4 overtime or shootout losses through the first 11 games. Come on, our 3-on-3 units are incredible. Our shootout lines are the best shooters in the league. 4-1 win against the Sabres on the road, then a 4-2 loss against the Lightning to end our 12-game road trip. 6-3-4 is our record coming home to Pittsburgh. So through 13 games, Leon Draisaitl is point per game. DeBrincat leading the team in goals, 6 goals, 12 points in 13 games. Gensel 11-12. Letang, Rust even. What? Brian Rust! Whoa, and Josh Morrissey all with 11 points in 13 games. Ekblad 9, Crosby Crosby with 7-11, Malkin 7-13, Lundstrom also with 7. All right, the scoring is there. 6-13, Berkeley Catton, only 1 goal and 4 points in 13 games. Zadorov 3 points, Zucker 2 and 8, Cormier, Lucas Cormier, there he is, 2 points and a +1. Nate Smith 2, Ty Smith 2, Engvall, Wheeler, no points and -3 in 13 games for Blake Wheeler, so I think we'll probably pull him out of there. Goaltending, how's it going here between these two? Okay, so Blackwood shook off the rust. He's 4-2-3 with 2 shutouts. Blomqvist has a decent record at 2-1-1, but his numbers aren't as good as the preseason, that's for sure. Blackwood, .920 save percentage and 2.28 goals against average. Isn't that almost identical to what he had last season? Just 9-2-1. Sorry, no, in the playoffs, excuse me. 9-2-1 and 2.46. Okay, gotcha. All right, and then Blomqvist 887 with 3.43 against. So maybe we think about putting Catton with Hall and Lundstrom, and then Rust, who's going wild right now, can play second line with Gensel and Crosby. Catton can take a step back a little bit. He's playing a lot of ice time, 1 goal in 13 games. Let's give him a chance to maybe take a breather. Maybe that would be beneficial for him. We'll go Hall, Lundstrom, and Catton on the third, and then Rust, who's doing so well. It hurts the chemistry, but I care more about the production than the chemistry. Malkin also down to an 83, only 3 goals from him. Yeah, I think we'll keep it like that, but I'm keeping a close eye on Malkin. Wheeler, you have been disappointing. Do we bring in Engvall or Koepke? Engvall, no points, -2 in 8 games, and Koepke yet to play this season, correct? Yeah, so let's get Koepke in there. Let's give him a chance to show a little bit of what he's got. Defensively, I think I'm going to put Letang and Morrissey back together. They've both been great. Both of these pairs have been pretty good. But I think let's just try to get the chemistry back going on the top pair to give us as much of an advantage as we can get. And goaltending, of course, we're going to keep rolling with Blackwood as our starter. The reigning Vezina Trophy winner is showing why he won it last season. And from there, let's open up the season against the LA Kings. Draisaitl, Ekblad, Hall, all making their home debuts at PPG Paints Arena against the 9-5-3 LA Kings. After a long road trip, the Penguins are finally home, welcomed back as Eastern Conference champions. Let's do it! Whew. First period, 1-1. All right, we'll take it. Evgeny Malkin on the power play past Olivier Rodrigue. Kempe scoring for the Kings. 8-7 of the shots in our favor through 20. Second period, 2-2 game. Kempe scores his second of the night, and then Smith, with just 41 seconds left in the period, gives us a nice boost. That's exactly what we needed headed into the third. Shots are 21-18 in our favor, and Austin Matthews, who won all those awards last season, he has been incredible. Alex DeBrincat, though, tying it back up at 3. Very well done. And then a power play goal from Austin Austin Matthews right it back, and then power play again. Now for the Kings. Thankfully, we killed that one off. We're down by 1 on the power play now ourselves, and DeBrincat gets another on the power play. DeBrincat versus Matthews in this third period. 5 minutes to go. We're outshooting them 32-23, but we're all tied up in the final 2 minutes of this one, the home opener, and we're headed to overtime. Exactly what we wanted to see. Perfect to jump on in. Austin Matthews, there he is, 96 overall. The reigning Hart, Art Ross, Ted Lindsay, Maurice Richard, I think maybe Lady Bing winner. He has so many awards from last season. And here we go with 3-on-3 overtime. Draisaitl, DeBrincat, and Letang are out for the Penguins. Here comes the Cat on 2 goals tonight. Gets through traffic to Leon. He gets a shot off, and Rodrigue makes that toe save. Offensive zone draw. Draisaitl wins it back to Letang. Now here's DeBrincat. Can't quite get a shot through, and Fiala's going to pick it up now. Back in his own zone. Gets it to Doughty, who has it poked away from him. Draisaitl to Letang. He has a lot of space. Letang, Draisaitl scores! Leon Draisaitl! A very weird series of events and a sequence that leads to a Penguins goal as we finally not only get a win, but win in past regulation. An overtime victory for the Penguins here at home to open up the season at PPG Paints Arena. Letang, Draisaitl, bunch of bounces. Rodriguez out of position, and Leon gets the game winner. His first goal at home as a Penguin in his new home. Oh yeah, fans are eating it up. Shots end 34-24, and we come away with a 5-4 victory. All right, so a lovely victory there to bring our record to 7-3-4 through the first 14 games of the year. What we'll do now is get to, let's say, around the 25 game point before we do another reevaluation of how things are going. And that 25th game comes at home against the Philadelphia Flyers in about, 3 or 4 weeks? So I'll start simulating towards that date and see what pops up between now and then. Here we go. Okay, good year for rookies. Always great to hear. This should be Blomqvist's start here at home on a 6-4 victory against the Wings, who had a losing record. Big game here against the Capitals, who are actually not having a great season. We beat them narrowly in the shootout, 3-2. Another win beyond regulation for us. Good to see. Tough 6-5 loss right there against the Blue Jackets. I hate to see that. Looking for win number 10 here on the road, and there it is with a 4-2 victory against the Washington Capitals. 10-4-4 through 18 games. 4-2 loss on the road against the Carolina Hurricanes after having won 4-2. Now in the Western Conference, while hosting Western Conference team, the Ducks, we beat them 4-1. On the road in Ottawa, 5-2 loss, then back home for a 3-2 win in the shootout against the Wild. Lundstrom is healthy, good, just a very minor injury there. On the road, taking on the Bruins, we beat them 6-4, and then now hosting the Coyotes, 2-1 win in overtime. So a wild schedule, home away, next day home, next day away. Here we are, 14-6-4 for game number 25. We are 4 points back of the Rangers with a game in hand, so this would be a nice victory, especially considering that the Flyers are not too far behind us, just 7 points behind us in the Metropolitan Division. At home hosting them, first shot of the night goes in, Cam York, very nice, and it's 3-0 for the Flyers after 20 minutes. 3 goals on 7 shots, York, Farabee, and Brink. Wow. Second period, 4-1. Farabee makes it 4-0 before Taylor Hall stops the bleeding and gets our first. Shots are 20-16 in our favor. Blackwood starting the second period. Blomqvist getting pulled after the first. We're down by 3 headed into the third period. It's not too late just yet. Blackwood's in there now. We got the most recent goal. Momentum maybe swinging in our favor, but the longer it takes, the more the Flyers build back. And now we're outshooting them 28-21 with 5 minutes to go. We're still up, down by 3, now make it down by 4 as Cutter Gauthier makes it a 5-1 game, and we'll take a nice big L right there. Shots end 30-24 in our favor, but Robin Lehner stands tall, and Blomqvist did not look good in that one, unfortunately. So through 25 games, we now find ourselves with a 14-7-4 record. Another quick look at the points right here. We see Jake Gensel with 25 and 24, Draisaitl 23, DeBrincat 10 goals, tying him with Gensel for the team lead, 20 points for him. Morrissey has 20 points, Crosby 19, Hall, Letang, and Rust all with 17. That's very interesting to see from those guys, Hall and Rust most notably. Malkin 16 points in 25 games, Berkeley Catton, very nice. It seems as though he's doing much better in that third line role than he was doing in that second line role. Great to see there. Lundstrom also picking it up, 12 points from him. Ekblad 12, Zadorov 5, then the lower half of the lineup right there. Just want to see good plus minuses from these guys. Kepke 1 assist, -4. Not good plus minuses from anyone really in the bottom 6. brutal stuff. Looking at the goaltenders here, Blackwood's numbers came down a little bit, and Blomqvist's not getting really much better. So the goaltending not really giving me a lot of comfort. The scoring's there, and we're not a losing team, but there are a few areas of concern, I would say. Maybe swapping Malkin around. Let's try maybe Guentzel back in the top line. Guentzel with Draisaitl and DeBrincat. Then Malkin and Crosby can play together with Rust. It gives this... Actually, it's still a +3. And let's keep Hall, Lundstrom, and Katten together. They've been doing very well, it seems like. Let's just make a little swap right there. Guentzel's leading the team in points. Malkin is taking a bit of a step back. Let's try swapping them around. On defense... pretty good stuff right here. Letang -5 is a bit of a concern, but I think I'm going to keep it as is. It's more the third pair that I want to think about. Smith is a +2, Cormier is a -1. Neither of them doing anything too crazy to make me think that they have to stick. Let's try swapping out Cormier for a small little sample size here, and I want to put Libor Hajek as a defensive defenseman in the lineup. Let's try that, giving him a +1 with Ty Smith. Let's see what comes from doing that. And goaltending, Blomqvist starting the next game. No, he got pulled. Blackwood's going to be starting the next game. And I think we'll keep it like that. Maybe the fourth line. Zucker, he had, what, 2 points in 3 games, then 1 point in the next 17 games. So I'm going to pull out Zucker. I'm going to keep Kepke and Smith. Let's try Engvall here. I don't think he's been playing too much. I think he only played 8 games. Yeah, so let's get Engvall some more ice time. We'll go Engvall, Smith, and Kepke, the original fourth line from last season. And we'll keep going like that with those minor adjustments having been made. I also just want to quickly look at the special teams, just to make sure we're not getting decimated in one or the other. Very strong Eastern Conference. The Bruins are in a wildcard spot as the 8th best team in the NHL. Wow. Okay, so let's just quickly take a look here as the Penguins were allowing 3 goals per game. Power play 19.3 is looking pretty solid. The Coyotes are a crazy team, led by that franchise potential player that they drafted back in year number 1, I believe. And penalty kill at 83.6 is on the lower end, but more in the middle. I'm not really sold on saying that either the special teams have to change. Let's keep on simulating with those changes that we made to the even strength lines and see what the calendar sim has to say. Let's go see the Canadiens. They're 17-6-4, a very good team in the Atlantic Division. We get to see 5 games of simulation. Let's see what happens here. 4-2 win on the road against the Senators. Very nice. Now a little homestand the next 4 games, starting with the game against Florida. They're 17-6-3. We beat them in the shootout. Very nicely done. Now hosting Seattle, followed by Toronto. The Kraken are 15-14 and something. We lose 3-1 against them. And the Leafs beat us 4-3. 2 tight regulation losses. Hosting the Devils, who are 10-19-3. Don't want to do that trade. No, thank you. We beat them 3-1. All right, we're 17-9-4, hosting the 19-10-4 Canadiens de Montréal. First period, 4-1 Penguins. Very nice. Oh, look at this. DeBrincat scores twice in the first 6 minutes. Libor Hajek, assumedly his first goal as a Penguin, to make it 3-0. Cole Caulfield puts a stop to it, but then Leon Draisaitl 3 minutes later restores our 3-goal lead. 4-1 after 20. Second period, 4-2. Sean Farrell on the power play. Headed into the third period, we're up by 2, outshooting the Canadiens by 6, 22-16. Pulling away a little bit more, 26-17. First 5 minutes, no action just yet. It's a slim 2-goal lead, the worst lead in hockey. I wouldn't mind getting a fifth in this game, making it a 3-goal lead. But if you just want to keep the 4-2 scoreline all the way to the end, that works for me as well. As we'll go ahead and end it right there. Shots end 33-26. No scoring in the third period, and that first period was enough. 2 from DeBrincat, 2 goals and an assist to get him first star honors. Draisaitl, a goal and 2 assists, and we will win that one 4-2 the final for win number 18. All right, let's keep on going. That's 31 games. We're getting close to the halfway point. A huge game on the calendar right here. We have to go see the Edmonton Oilers. They beat us in 6 games to win the Stanley Cup last season. Letang, sore shoulder, is going to keep him out until January 14th. Unfortunate. So Ekblad will play top pair with Morrissey. Smith will move on to the second pair with Zadorov. And Libor Hajek will play third pair with Cormier, who draws back into the lineup. All right, -1, but fortunately not for too long. As I was saying, the Oilers, they won their first Stanley Cup in, 30 years? 2-0 win against the Senators, a nice shutout victory there, and then another victory against the Canadiens, this one coming by a score of 3-2, and then a 5-1 win against the Sharks. All right, let's get a little streak going here. And then a 6-3 win against the Flames. There we go. So that's 5-6 in a row. A 6-game winning streak, the longest that we've had so far this season, and we'll be facing the Oilers in Edmonton. They're 21-17-1 on the year. We are 22-9-4. Leon Draisaitl facing his old team. I'm not sure if Orlov would be here for the Oilers. Actually, he was under contract, so it should be Orlov facing his old team, that being us. All right, let's do it. First time that we faced them since losing in Game 6. First period, Oilers are up 1-0. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins against Blomqvist, who's starting after Blackwood just got the win against Calgary the night before. Second period, no scoring there. Shots are 28-15 for the Oilers, almost doubled by Edmonton. And we are only down by 1, thankfully, heading into the third period. Draisaitl against his old team. He won a cup with them. The first time that he's back in Edmonton since then. No scoring through the first 10 minutes of the third period. 50 minutes in, and that one goal from Nugent-Hopkins is still the only one. Power play Pittsburgh, and it's an extended opportunity for us. A very extended opportunity, and thank you. Taylor Hall scores in the power play against the team that drafted him first overall way back when. A super extended power play opportunity. We had to score on that. Checking from behind, major on former Penguin Teddy Bluger. All right, overtime now. Shots are 34-25 for Edmonton. It's a 1-1 game, and we're headed into overtime now. 3-on-3 action. And Sidney Crosby! What a comeback! As we score in the final 2 minutes of regulation, and then add the OT winner. Despite being outshot and seemingly outplayed all night, shots end 34-29 for the Oilers, but we come away with a sneaky 2-1 victory. Blomqvist with, I would think, his best start of the season. Campbell did well, but Crosby, the captain, scores the OT winner, and we come away with a big 2-1 victory against a team that beat us last year for the Stanley Cup. Beating them today is a statement victory to say, hey, get ready, we are coming. So that was game number 36. We are sitting atop the Metropolitan Division, 37, 38, 39, 40, and the halfway mark will come against the Carolina Hurricanes. Let's see if we have any stoppages between now and then, but if not, we'll go ahead and start simulating toward that date. We're facing the Sharks in San Jose after having beaten them 5-1 at home the week prior. This time they shut us out 5-0. Oh my goodness. Chris Letang is back in the lineup, so he'll take back his spot on the top defensive pair with Josh Morrissey. Very good, back to full health. Of course, you got to pause and go back because now the calendar's all messed up. Okay, 4-1 victory against the Kings in Los Angeles. Very nice. Looking for win number 25 at home against the Flyers as we host the 17-21-3 Philly squad, and we beat them 6-2. Devils, who are also a losing team, we beat them 4-2. And here we are at the halfway point, 26-10-4, hosting the 17-17-7 Carolina Hurricanes. And then the game number 42, next episode, will start by hosting the Rangers. First period, 1-0 Hurricanes. Jarvis beating Blomqvist to give the Hurricanes the first goal of this game. Second period, 1-1 Brian Rust against Eric Comrie. Shots are 18-17 in our favor, and this game is tied at 1 thanks to Brian Rust, who's having a resurgent 2025-26 season. Sidney Crosby, the captain, puts us up 2-1 now. Shots are tied. Power play Penguins here, and then Sidney Crosby scores his second of the period, and second in about 5 minutes and 2 seconds. We are now up by 2 from being down by 1 to now up by 2, scoring 3 unanswered, and that'll be enough to win it. Shots end 27-26 for the Hurricanes, but we win this one 3-1 the final. Crosby 2 goals, Russ a goal and an assist, and Blomqvist making 26 saves. Well done from the young netminder in his sophomore season. Okay, and of course, thank goodness. I find there's often injuries around the halfway point in our franchise mode series, but thankfully it was an AHL injury. Okay, so here we are at the halfway point, currently sitting atop Metropolitan. 27-10-4 is our record. That is also good enough to be the best in the... That is also good enough to make us the best in the league as of right now. 27-10-4, 58 points, have us sitting atop the NHL. 3.32 goals for per game, not the highest, but 2.63 goals against. That has lowered significantly from the 3 goals against that we last saw, and now down to 2.63. Very well done. Our power play is up to 22.2%, which is the 4th best in the NHL, and our penalty kill is also up to 86.4, which is what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8th best in the league. Great to see that we didn't need to make any big changes. We just need to get a bigger sample size, and we are 9-1-0 in our last 10 games. Great to see that. Now looking at the scoring here at the halfway point, Alex DeBrincat is leading the team in scoring, 25 goals and 37 points through 41 games, on pace for a 50-goal season. 50 goals and 74 points, the current pace that he's on. He scored 71 points last season. Draisaitl and Morrissey also both on pace for 71 points. Crazy offensive output from Josh Morrissey so far, 37 and 41. Ridiculous. Jake Gensel, 34 in 40, looking very good. Crosby, 31 and 39, slowly taking a step back here, now down to an 85 overall, but in a second-line center role, 18 minutes per night, that is more than enough. Malkin, 28 in 41, okay, on pace for a 56-point season. Taylor Hall is on pace for 52 points. I'll take that from the now 34-year-old. I think he's doing very well in that middle six role. That would be better than what he did last season, so I'll take the current pace that he's on. Brian Rust, also on pace for 52 points, and that would be much better than the 46, maybe not much better, but it's better than the 46 he did last season. He was also at -5, so I'm liking what I'm seeing from Brian Rust without power play time even. Chris Letang, 26 points in 37 games from him. Berkeley Catton on pace for a 50-point rookie season, looking good. Ekblad on pace for 40 points. Lundstrom, 16 points, on pace for 32 as third-line center. I like that. Nate Smith, 7. Ty Smith, 7. Zadorov, Cormier, all these guys here at the bottom. Wheeler hasn't played much since we took him out of the lineup. Engvall, 1 goal, -5 in 24 games. Libor Hayek, 1 goal, -1 in 16 games. None of these guys at the bottom really impressing me at all. Maybe we'll make some changes, some call-ups from the AHL perhaps. Down here we see Jaeger. Lucas also 31 points. Is it Svechkovsky? I don't know. He's looking good. Nord, Stranges, O'Connor. Those are all the forwards. How about any defense we'd think about calling up maybe? Henry Thrun, Owen Pickering, Beliveau, Lundmark, De Liberatore. And of course there's also Gilden, who's a healthy scratch down in the AHL. All right, checking out the goaltenders now in the NHL. Back to the NHL. Mackenzie Blackwood is 19-7-3 with 3 shutouts, a .918 save percentage, and 2.31 goals against average. Very, very nice. Blomqvist's numbers still aren't great, but the last couple slow sims that we've seen him in have been very good, which have helped out his numbers. He's 10-4-1, .896 save percentage, 3.12 goals against average. I understand that he is an 84 overall, and we got to give him starts, but Blackwood seems to be doing much better. I know he's already appeared in 29 out of 41 games, but should we be trying to get him even more starts? Something to consider. Just looking at the entire NHL, if you are curious about the scoring around the league, Anisimov, 31 goals and 54 points with the Coyotes. McKinnon, 50 points. Austin Matthews, 48. Nick Schmaltz, 47 points. Look at that. All right. Rookie skaters. How does Berkeley Catton look right now? Tiny Stolars Jr. leading all rookies in scoring with 40 points through 43 games. All of our created players out here. Milan Mahalik Jr., Sean Avery. Matvei Michkov only getting his rookie season in 2025-26. Very odd. All right. So Catton is probably not going to be challenging for the Calder, but good to see that his name is still out there. All goalies in the league as well, also just out of curiosity. Blackwood not among the best for the win. Let's say we just look at minimum 20 games played and sort by save percentage. Yeah, Blackwood is at the top. Logan Thompson also out there, but the better goals against average going to Blackwood. So he's doing very, very well. That's why I say maybe we give him more starts. Also looking on defense, Josh Morrissey and his 37 points is very good, but Fox has 48, Hughes 46, Stolars Jr. with 40. So I don't think Morrissey will necessarily be pushing for a Norris Trophy. I'm extremely proud of and very impressed by what Josh Morrissey is doing. Last thing to check out here will be the trade blocks around the NHL. So if we're thinking about maybe like there's some fourth line guys, whether it be Kepke or Engvall or Zucker or Wheeler or Hayek or whoever else, if we're thinking about trading one or more of those players or even something else, something totally different, and we want to get back a roster player or a prospect, we'll be checking the blocks around the NHL to see what teams are willing to give up for a deal that we could make now around the halfway point, or there may even be a name that you want me to keep my eye on as we get closer to the deadline. So let's scroll through these rather quickly. A lot of prospects on the block here in Anaheim. Danielson, Lheureux, Gaucher, even this guy Helenius, 70 overall, 19 years of age. Consta Helenius, 14th overall pick in 2024. He has good value. So a lot of prospects here in Anaheim. The Coyotes have Schmaltz on the block, who's having a crazy season. But they're one of the better teams in the league. Yeah, it wouldn't make sense for the Coyotes to make any deals like that. No prospects either, so okay. The Bruins have some miscellaneous prospects on the block. Buffalo, Ostlund, Hanzik, Jokinen, a few interesting names, absolutely. Ostlund's been one that we've kept tabs on. The last couple episodes I've been thinking about Ostlund, but not crazy simulation down with Rochester in the AHL, so maybe that's why he's on the block. In the real world, he's great, but maybe that's the reason why. Let's see, a lot of prospects in Calgary as well. Stenberg, Dragachevich, Olsen, a lot of names there. Wow. Carolina, Lizotte, Sundqvist, Lemieux, and that prospect Stahlberg. Gavin, big name on the block here. Jordan Gavin, 4th overall pick in 2025. Wow. Dvorsky, Dickinson, a lot of high potential players on the block in Chicago. Colorado, nobody. Columbus, more prospects. I can't look at each one. This is crazy. A lot of teams with a lot of prospects out there. Dallas has Marcus Pettersson on the block. Kopp, Wallman, a few other names in Detroit. Interesting defensively. Wallman and McCabe would both interest me. Both on an expiring deal, and Detroit a losing team that is selling. Yeah, Wallman or McCabe would both make sense if we're looking for a defenseman. 5 points, -10 from Wallman. 4-star defense, 90 shot blocking and stick checking. McCabe, 8 points, -13. 4-star defense as well. Yeah, yikes on that. But lots of value on our team, I would think. Edmonton has some prospects out there. Florida, prospects. Los Angeles, Heimo Salmi, and a few other names. Minnesota, Eriksson Ek, Obi Kubel, Goudreau, White, Trennan, and JVR. Les Canadiens de Montréal, personne. Nashville, Lauzon. New Jersey, that one guy, Villain. A few prospects, including Kiviharu, on the block with the Islanders. The Rangers, random prospects. Shabbat, Dvorak, Raquel, Barry. A lot of names on the block in Ottawa. My goodness, but many of them with multi-year contracts. Philadelphia, Hayes, Tays, and Lawton. San Jose, Carlson, Burns, of course, Carlson. Nudivara, Haula, and Nemeth. The Kraken have Phil Kessel on the block. Look at Big Phil the Thrill. Woo, great for 38 years of age. He has 34 points in 44 games this year. Maybe he'd be better depth than some of the guys that we're rolling with, but it would be 4th line. I don't know. Ryan Suter, 40 years of age, maybe chasing a cup, 3.5-star defense, lower trade value than McCabe and Wallman. Keep those in mind. St. Louis, Ross Colton and Brendan Duhaime. Prospects in Tampa. Verhage, Tavares, Krejci, Kubalik, Sprong, everybody on the block here in Toronto. Sheesh. Vancouver, Hanifin and Dries. Vegas, Shea Theodore, Alex Pietrangelo, Labushkin, Myers, and then Mark Giordano at 42 years of age. Wow. Washington, nobody, and Winnipeg, Fabry, DeBrusk, Janmark, Eberle, Andreas Janssen, and Marcus Foligno. Wow, a lot of players on the block, a lot of players, a lot of prospects, many things to keep in mind. This team is great. We are sitting atop the NHL. We don't necessarily need to do anything, but always important to do our due diligence and keep all of those names in mind. And in addition to the players that we could acquire via a trade, lots of players out here in free agency, but the best among them, TJ Oshie, still unsigned here in January. 39 years of age, 81 overall, brings a ton of experience to the table. He would be an interesting guy as well, still with 4-star shooting, 4-star skating, so keep Oshie in mind. You can also keep potential extensions in mind if you're interested. Guys like Taylor Hall now eligible to be extended. He wants 1 year, $4 million. We have just over $17 million in extension dollars for next year. Blake Wheeler, not going to extend him. Evgeny Malkin, he would want 1 year, 5.1. 2 years, 3.9 though. So we could do a 2-year extension on Malkin now for maybe $3.5 million. Maybe. He will continue to drop in overall, but I'm not sure his demand would drop much more than that due to his continued production. But all that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I'll go ahead and wrap it up there. A very successful first half of year number 3. We sit atop the NHL at the halfway point. 41 games down, 41 games to go. DeBrincat on pace for 50 goals. Draisaitl, Gensel, all on great point paces as well. Rust has found new life. The third line's doing great. Catton on pace for a 50-point rookie season. Morrissey on pace for over 70 points. So let me know your predictions for the second half. who surprised you the most in the first half, and of course, any and all of your suggestions headed into the second half of the season. Leave those down here on YouTube or over on the Discord server, link in the description. Be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed the first half of the season so far. It has been very successful team-wise. We just want to make sure that that is maintained over the second half, and I think that we have the team to do it. So make sure that you are subscribed so that you don't miss out on the next episode of our franchise mode series with the Penguins, as well as everything else here on the channel, our NHL 23 career simulations, our breaking news and analysis in the real world of hockey. Check out the Erik Karlsson trade analysis if you haven't already, and I will finally leave you there. A great first half, and looking forward to more in the second half, and I'm looking forward to seeing you there.